Alrighty, guys. So we are going to get started with our Tuesday training for July 5th. First of all, thank you guys for taking time out and joining us. You know, it's awesome when you can make the time to be live so that you can, have any questions answered that you may have on the top of your head. But also, to be able to interact with each other and with me, I think it makes it a lot more, I think you learn a lot more when you can actually interact with each other, or, kind of bounce ideas off of each other. So, some upcoming things, make sure you have your calendars marked for the 18th, which is when our next monthly team meeting will be here at my house from 6 to 8. I will have some food available, and we're going to be doing some different kind of training this month. I'm actually going to start kind of getting you guys involved more in the process and helping to train each other, because I think that, a big part of what a team is, it's not about me, it's about you guys, and about sharing your ideas and things that are working in your own personal businesses, not just mine. So you can look forward to a great next training. Miss Becky's going to be leading one of our trainings, so I'm excited about that, to be able to work with her to help deliver that training. Other upcoming things, of course, we have National Conference next week. I will be away from Wednesday morning until I will be back Sunday morning. I know Becky is going to be, Becky, are you still doing the live feed? Did you decide on?
If I can get dates and times, I didn't sign up for it because I had no idea. Are they?
Oh.
They're not going to let you sign up now?
No, because last Tuesday was I think Tuesday was the 30th, right? Last week, that was the last day to sign up. Did anybody else sign up for live feed at all? Okay. Well,
here's a recommendation then that you ought to bring to their attention. We always don't have $40 sitting on our accounts before payday like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just say, sign on the day of and pay for it. I don't think we should have to pay for it at all, but,
yeah,
it is what it is.
Well, I know there was some talk about that on our nationwide leaders call today. Some other people were asking whether they were going to have the ability within the next, within this week to actually sign up for that again. They did not have a definitive answer for us as far as whether they were going to offer it one more time between now and conference starting. So as soon as I hear something more about that, I'll let you know. So what you guys can expect then, since I don't think anybody else had signed up for that, is I will try to do some live streaming from conference via our team page, so that you guys get some of that. But I do know that they are recording all of this, the general sessions and stuff like that. And they did say today that they will be posting that at the beginning of August. So, so I'll try to do as much live streaming as possible while I'm there. So conference is important. So we've got, of course, just a reminder that every Tuesday night we do have training from 7 to 8. It's the perfect opportunity for you guys to jump on and just kind of get fed for the week, get some different perspectives, like I said. But I like the fact that you guys, it's kind of one subject that we're kind of talking about, versus where our team meetings are more broad and we focus on different areas of the business. So, all right, with all that being said, we're going to jump right in. And tonight we're going to be talking about closing your shows quickly and efficiently and why you should do it. So think of the last time you guys made an online purchase or a purchase at a home show. What did you buy? Were you excited about it? And were you anxiously awaiting for the order to arrive? I bet, like me, I was thinking about, how I was going to be able to use that product. Were you picturing yourself, if it was clothes, were you picturing yourself wearing that dress or wearing those shoes? So that's kind of how our guests feel when they make a purchase at our shows. They buy the manual food processor, then the next day that they're making salsa, immediately they wish that they already had it with them. I think that's kind of the great thing about having cash and carry items at vendor shows, because it is that immediate gratification that you're getting. Or like some of the other, direct sale companies that actually have the inventory, you can put those products in the customer's hands right then and there. So the customers are immediately happy because they have the products that they're putting the money out for. So, I would say if they were making that salsa and they're chopping those onions and, the tears start rolling down their eyes, imagine if they would have had that manual food processor to use. It would have been much easier. Ideally, your show should close in no more than just a few days after the show. The number one reason I hear people say that they aren't closing their shows is what? What do you guys think the number one reason is? I would say most people would say that it's the host. My host wants to leave it open until blah, 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 or my host doesn't want to close until blah, blah, blah. That's kind of, what I hear most of the time when I'm talking to you guys. It's the host, kind of they want to work around paydays, or, they're on vacation until this date, or, the host is trying to collect more orders for the party. So let me ask you guys a question. Whose business is this? Does your credit card company let you decide what day your payment is due? Or how about your mortgage company? Do they let you decide when you want to pay your mortgage? Most companies don't kind of let you decide when you're going to pay that bill. Does the IRS let you determine when you want to pay your taxes? No, we just know it's April 15th, right? Every year, same date. When applying for college, do you get to turn in your application whenever you want? No. There's always a deadline. The truth is that everything has a deadline, and it's never the consumer who really makes that decision as to when the deadline is. Why should it be any different with your business? What happens when you wait to close a show? What do you guys think? What are some of the things that happens? What are some of the problems you guys have run into? Let's say you had a party on Saturday, you go to close the show, 7 days later. What are some of the problems you guys have ran into?
Decline credit card.
Decline credit cards, absolutely. What else?
People cancel their orders because something came up.
Absolutely. I've had that happen a million times. What else? You go to call that host that night, when you're scheduled to close, and does she answer your phone? Have you guys ever had that one happen? Where they just
Or they can't decide what they want.
Yep. Can't decide what they want. But, you call the host 1,000 times, they never answer. You're stuck trying to get a hold of them for a couple days. And finally, maybe 2 or 3 days later, you get a hold of them and they were sick or on vacation or blah, blah, blah. Whatever the reason that they come up with is. What else happens? I think some of the other things that I've ran into are hosts, they had something unexpected come up, so now they don't have all the money that they originally wanted to buy that rock crack or whatever, so then they only are kind of upset that they have to only use the free products because they can't afford, to buy that grill pan or rock crock or whatever it was that they wanted. Let's see, what else? Have you ever got messages from the guests asking if Sally Sue's show had been closed yet? Anybody ever had that? Especially with virtual parties. You have your host, and 10 days later, you've got all of the people that were on the event with you that are now messaging you saying, when are we closing the show up? I've had that happen 1,000 times. So the problems become that credit cards end up not going through, which what happens when a credit card doesn't go through? That's more work for you, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because then you're trying to either A, get the host involved to get a hold of her friend, or you're directly getting a hold of the guest. And then a lot of times if you're the one making that call to the guest, a lot of times they don't even want to talk to you about it because they don't know you. So they feel uncomfortable with giving their credit card information to you unless they met you at a cooking show. But those outside orders, a lot of times you don't meet those people. Guests think that ordering from Hamper Chef takes a long time. So it doesn't really create a good impression of the company and our service, which makes them less likely to want to order in the future. And that's actually something that we've heard. I can tell you our company over the last year, they've been doing a lot of field research since Tracy Britt Poole has taken over the company. And they've been doing a lot of research with the customers and asking them about, the show experience. And still, the number one problem is that the orders take too long for them to get in their hands. So, any ways that we can help that along are beneficial not only to us and to our customers, but also to the company and the reputation of the company. So when they have a convenient experience, meaning that, the party closes within a couple days, they know when they're in a pinch, when they need that wedding gift or they need that bridal shower gift or, a birthday gift or a Christmas gift. If they call Brittany up and say, hey, Brittany, what can you do for me? I would really like to place an order with you about how long is it going to take for me to get, to get those products. They're going to call you because they're going to remember the experience that they had with you before as far as getting their products in a timely manner. Now, if they have a bad experience, on the other hand, where, it takes them 2 or 3 weeks to get their products from the time of the party or from the time you close the party, then they're going to also remember that. Customers always remember the really good experiences or the really bad experiences. And I tell you that the bad experiences are always going to stand out more than, unfortunately, what the good experiences do. I actually had this one happen the other night. A past host discount expires. So I had a guest at a party and, shame on me, but with, vacations and being gone in the Bahamas and, then this 4th of July weekend leaving for my parents' house, I was trying to get as many parties closed toward the end of the month as I could. And then I ran into my host was away on vacation. By the time she came back and we connected the other day, after the end of the month, one of the guests, her past host discount, ran out. So here I am, I'm forking out $8. And $8 doesn't sound like a lot, but after a while, $8 20 times is a lot of money. So because, I felt like it was my fault because we allowed the party to go a little bit longer, I ended up paying that out of pocket. So you have it, again, lesson learned. Shame on me for that. Another issue that can arise is checks can bounce. Anybody ever had a bounce check?
Yes.
I've had 2 in my 5 years. I've only had 2. The first one was an okay experience. I never had any issues collecting the money from the bounce check. The second person just dodged my calls. I never got my money for that deep covered baker. And that's a $90 loss for me, plus the fees that I had to come out of pocket with. So again, most people have the expectation, unless you tell them differently, that, okay, I'm having the party. We're at the party Saturday night. So this consultant's it's the weekend. She's probably going to put my check in the bank on Monday. Most people are going to kind of think that unless you tell them specifically, hey, I don't deposit my checks until the party closes or whatever, however you work your shows. Most people, believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that, number one, don't balance checkbooks. And number 2, don't keep a ledger where they write down, what they have. They just kind of mentally tabulate their account, which is kind of scary. But a lot of people do that. So if you haven't deposited their check, then sometimes people are going to forget when they wrote a check to someone and spent money. So by the time you get around to closing that show, guess what happens? That check's going to bounce. If it's carried over into another month, you might not get the consultant special. Okay. So, when we have those months where there's do 2 shows or do $750 in sales or whatever the case is, if you're submitting it in the next month, then that's not going to apply to that month. So you kind of lose out, on your end if you carry shows over sometimes. What's that, Brittany?
I have a question about the whole closing the show thing.
Okay.
A lot of shows have only been like 5 to 6 people. And I usually follow up with all of them before. Even if it's a week, I tell them, I'm closing the show today. Is it okay to run your card? or I'm closing the show today, so I'm going to be depositing your check. Is that should I be doing that or no?
I would say that, a lot of consultants in the company. So one of the biggest tips I've learned lately, a lot of people are doing a morning after call. So, you have the party on a Saturday, or let's say you have a party on Sunday, and they actually call all of the guests that were at the party the very next day, just to kind of reconnect with them, make sure that they really didn't want to book a show. Because sometimes people are kind of standoffish about wanting to book a show right on the spot, but they've thought about it between the time the show happened and the next day, to decide whether, number one, if they really liked you. Most of the time they'll be willing to book a show. So they do these morning after calls, and that's one of the things that you could touch base with, is just letting them know, hey, just as a reminder, we'll be closing the show on such and such date. But the problem becomes, though, if you set a date, so you're talking to them, so the party was Sunday, you're talking to them on Monday, and let's say you tell them we're going to close a party on Thursday, okay? So they're prepared for that. They remember that. But what happens when Thursday comes around and you don't close the show, and then you let the weekend go, and then, you get back to Monday again, here we are a week later when they thought the show was already closed, then you could run into issues. So I do think it's a good thing to remind them or let them know when you're going to be closing the show. Now, if you're doing your calls like you're doing them and closer to the time you're actually closing in the show, then absolutely, there's nothing wrong with letting them know you're getting ready to close the show. That way they can expect, that payment to be withdrawn from their account or that check to be cashed.
And I tell my hosts whenever I'm at a show, we pick a date for a reason. Everybody knows when it's going to be closed. I tell everybody at my show, when it's going to be closed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more about, if they expect it, it's one thing. If they don't expect it, it's kind of the other extreme. I would still, I think as long as they're expecting that it's going to be a week, and then you figure that there's another week probably involved with the shipping process. So about 2 weeks. So if you let your guests know that it's going to be about 2 weeks before they would expect their orders to be at the host house, that's completely acceptable. What we're finding the problem is that, like I said, most people expect within a couple days that the show is going to close. And if they're still waiting three weeks later, for their merchandise and it still hasn't come, then that's kind of where the issue becomes. All right. So let's see, where were we? You may not get paid at the level you're expecting. So that can be a big thing too, because you carry over a show into the next month. Those sales are now a part of the next month. So, let's say me as a director, having to do 5,000 in team sales in order to maintain directorship. If I carried over 750, even though I did the sales in the month of July, but I carry over that 750 in sales into the month of August, guess what I just did? I didn't meet my requirements for the month of July that I'm currently in. So you kind of have to play or think about those things too. Is there anything involved as far as what your current level is with a consultant that it could possibly affect? The guests who attended the show are penalized. They place their order at the show, yet they have to wait for those that didn't show up. So that's another feeling that the consumer actually has, is that, they were there for the party. They were there at Sally's, show. Why should they have to wait because, Sally's trying to track down 5 more people to place orders? Why should they have to wait because somebody wasn't able to make it to the party? You spend a lot of time chasing down your host to get the show closed, and there's a lot of better ways you could use your time. Would you guys agree? I mean, would you rather be chasing down a host for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, trying to make those phone calls and get them closed out, or would you rather use that time productively with, booking shows or making customer care calls or spending that time with your family when it could have been kind of resolved? Guests are less likely to order when they take the catalog home to decide what they want. Anybody ever hear that at parties? Oh, I'll just take the catalog home and I'll give Sally my order tomorrow. Most of the time, does that customer order? Yeah, I would say, I mean, maybe 1 out of 5 may place an order. What do you guys think? Are you muted, Beck? I couldn't hear you. Oh, yeah, you are.
Everybody who's told me they were going to take the catalog and order has ordered.
Wow, you got lucky, girlfriend.
No, most of the time they do not.
Yeah. I had that happen. A party I went down to Maryland, and it was probably like 2 years ago. There was like 5 people that came. So it was, you know, again, when I was kind of working on my show attendance and trying to beef that up a little bit. About 5 people came. 1 person placed an order that night. 1 of them just said, I don't need anything. I've got tons of Pampered Chef, like we always hear. And then 3 of them were like, oh, we'll take catalogs home. Well, guess what? That party never qualified. The host was discouraged because, you know, again, your friends are the ones, or the host friends are telling her, oh, well, you know, I'm going to take this catalog home. I'll let you know by my order. So they get kind of frustrated because then they kind of feel like their friends don't want to support them. But, and then the other the other thing to think about with that is that, you know, if you're giving 3 catalogs out at every party, which I don't care about giving catalogs out at parties, but if you're giving a catalog out to a guest and they don't place an order, you're getting really nothing in return if they're never going to contact you for more business. So it's kind of your supplies. You're going to have to restock your supplies eventually. What happens when you close a show quickly? Ooh, let's look at the other extreme. So when we're timely with our shows, what are the positive things that can happen?
Your paycheck's going to be on time.
Whoop, whoop. We'd like a paycheck, don't we? Because really, you know, we are in it for business. We are in it to make money, not to wait on money, right? Nobody likes to wait. You know, when you have bills, which we all have bills, and when you expect to be able to pay a bill, you know, you've got 2 shows, let's say in the beginning of the month, and when you could expect to pay a bill on the 21st when the paycheck comes, and that check comes, but you never close one of the shows in the first part of the month, and your check's lower, then it's kind of like, crap, you know, shame on me for doing that. So some things you'll find when you actually get the shows through in a timely manner are the credit cards go through without any issues. Guests are excited to get their products quickly. Your host is excited to get his or her products quickly. Guests are more likely to order from you. The guests have really favorable impression of Pampered Chef. Wow, that was fast. Shipping is so quick. Have you guys ever heard that before? When a host gets her show, let's say within that, you know, 5 days after closing, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys ship so fast. It makes you look good as a consultant, okay? People don't really think about, when those products arrive, they don't really think about that it's really Pampered Chef, the one that's packing all that stuff and shipping all that stuff. They associate those products coming quickly with you, not really with the company, so to speak, okay? The shipping part of it, they may associate as the company, but as far as the timeliness, that's going to be a key part of you and what they think about you. You can plan your income for the month, as Becky said a minute ago. You know if you've met your goals and earn incentives for the month. Guests are happy and the host is happy, so guess who else is happy? You. I know where you are thinking, my host needs to get more, or to have more time to get more orders. Well, guess what? Leaving the show open for days or even weeks after the show does not necessarily equate to you getting a higher number of outside orders. And in fact, creating a sense of urgency and a deadline increases the chance for and the number of orders for your show. So how many of you guys have actually used the incentive, like the incentive that I do for, you know, if the host collects $250 in outside orders, then I give them blah, blah, blah. Anybody do that?
I've tried it.
Okay. Have you had success with it, Becky, or?
Hit and miss.
Hit and miss? Okay.
Yeah.
Brittany, have you used that incentive for your host? Oh, I think she must have walked away for a second. So I do that consistently. They always, that's a part of my host packet that I send out to my hosts. It's something I talk about in the host coaching process, just as an incentive. And I know we've talked in the past about the fact that when you walk into a host house and they have $200 or $250 in outside orders waiting for you, how much of a relief and a burden that's lifted for you as the consultant, because you can actually focus on the fun of a party versus walking in there and only having 3 people show up and knowing how hard you have to now work. So the other thing that happens, though, is when you have those outside orders at the beginning, you set a clear date for when you're going to close the party. You get to that date. Well, actually, after the party, you kind of remind the host that, we're closing on, today's Thursday. We're going to close on, no later than Monday. See how many more orders you can come up with, anybody that didn't make it. Most of the time, what you find happens is when the host realizes what date you're closing the show, before the party actually happens, she's already talked to her friends and said, we're closing the party on Monday. So go ahead and give me your order before the party because I'm trying to earn this incentive. So like I just said a minute ago, 9 times out of 10, she's really not going to have a lot of extra orders on the back side of it unless she hasn't been excited about that incentive at the beginning. So you can really use that incentive for the $250 in outside orders to work for your benefit if it's something that you do as a part of host coaching and as part of setting the closing date with your host. So would we all agree that people tend to wait till the last minute to do anything nowadays?
Absolutely.
Yep. So if you give them a shorter time frame, they are actually more likely to order because, again, they know that there's going to be that immediate gratification. Most important, with proper host coaching, your host can get those orders before the show. So how can you do that? So let's brainstorm some ideas and explain, and talk about how they'll help. What are some of the ways that we can make sure, as a part of host coaching, that we're going to get those shows closed out in time? Cricket? Y'all just want me to do all the talking tonight. I love y'all too. All right, so here's kind of my top 10 for that. So you tell your host during host coaching exactly when the show needs to close. Number 2, if the show is at the very end of the month, then tell the host when you set up the show that the show will have to close before the end of the month. A lot of people realize that in direct sales that we're kind of time bound as far as the end of the month goes. And unless you tell them, I'm able to carry shows over into the next month, most people, they believe that we have to actually close those shows, before the end of the month comes. So that can kind of work to your benefit, but especially if you've used that as a part of host coaching, then they can expect it. So number 3, give your host enough catalogs in the beginning when you mail your host packet or when you take your host packet, so he or she can collect outside orders easier prior to the show. If you only give 1 catalog to a host, or maybe 2, I know I've run into it sometimes where 2 wasn't enough. Again, it's something I've learned to talk to the host about. Where do you think you're going to be, dropping these catalogs off? If they need 3 or 4 catalogs, then there's really no problem with it. That tells me that they've got a lot of contacts. I would rather give them the catalogs than wait for the show and then them say that, I need some more catalogs so I can get the rest outside orders. If you've done it on the front side, then you're more likely to have that show qualifying when you get there. Number 4, make ordering easy. Set up your host show on your website and create the URL for them to do online ordering. Use the 3-call host coaching method and ask your host if he or she has any orders from people who can't come on each call. Again, a constant reminder. There's nothing wrong with reminding your host of how to have a successful show. That is our job. Offer to enter and add up outside orders for your host. I do that a lot of times now, and what I found I really, really love doing is actually just having them take a picture of the outside orders and send it to me. They can send it to me through a Facebook message or a text message. I can, put it right into P3 or not P3. Oh my gosh, where'd my brain go? Into the
What?
No, Becky. Woohoo!
What?
I was talking to someone earlier about P3. So I can put it right into the website or right into the app, and guess what happens now? All of that work is done for me later, and I don't have to worry about it. So, and it doesn't even have to be on an order form. They can have it on a little piece of sticky note or whatever. They can take a picture of that and send it to me, and I can go ahead and do that. Remind your host multiple times about the closing date. Again, if you keep constantly putting something in their head, then most likely that's going to work to your benefit and their benefit. Make sure the show has the correct close date on the website. This is what I used to run into a lot of times because when you generate a show, when you create a show, it only gives you 3 days on the website before it has to close. So what happens when, you've told the host, okay, well, we'll close in 4 days, but on the website, you've not fixed it. So it's set at 3 days. So then on that 4th day, she's got people trying to order, and they go to the show and it says, well, Sally Sue's her show is already closed. Either you're going to lose out on orders, you're going to have a frantic host, or you're going to have to do more work on the backside of it. So as a general rule of thumb, I always when I set up my parties, I always change that date for 5 days, just in case, when the 3 days come, if I can't get a hold of my host, then I have some flexibility and I don't have to worry about, that link breaking at that point. Because then, you have to go back in and you got to change the date and blah, blah, blah. And it's just more work on the backside. So any other ideas that you guys would have on other steps you could take during host coaching as far as closing the shows timely and efficiently?
I think it's important to make sure that all the guests, again, this might be reiterating, but all the guests need to know when you're closing.
Absolutely.
And if there's any question about it, make sure you just explain, I have to close this show by such and such a time so that you get your guest benefit and the host gets the host benefit.
Absolutely. I think the other thing too, when you think about it, if you're a guest at a party, and let's say you're one of those fence sitters, okay? Let's say you really want this product, but you really don't know if you want it tonight. And that consultant at the show has told you guys, well, if you guys decide that, we're going to be closing the party on, let's just use that as an example, party's on Sunday. If you guys decide, this is what I probably would say. So we'll be closing Sally Sue's show on Wednesday. So if you guys decide between now and Wednesday that you want to add any more products to your order, then you can, my information's on the bottom of your order form. You can contact me via email, text message, Facebook, whatever. And then we can always add it onto your order. Because a lot of people think at that point that, when all is said and done and the party's over, that they can't add to their order. But if you've given them permission to contact you to add onto their order, you may end up with more, extra orders when they know what date that party's going to be closing by. It's kind of in the back of their mind. So when they get home or the next day, like we said earlier about the manual food processor, when they're making that salsa, they could be like, oh my gosh, I really should have ordered the manual food processor. You guys wouldn't believe how many times I've had people contact me within that span of time saying, can I add to my order? Is it possible for me to add on to my order? And in particular, on virtual shows, I have that happen all the time. Okay, so are there any circumstances when you should leave a show open?
I have a show that opened, I don't know, probably mid-June. I'd have to go look. And we're keeping it open till the 20th of July.
Woo! What's it for, Beth?
It's a catalog show. The host lives in the Dillsburg area. I've never met her. She's got one online order and tells me that she has several other orders that she will give me. She's a friend of Lisa Hatch's, so I went with it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Normally, I would not leave anything open for a month.
Yeah.
I did this time because she knows Lisa, and you know how I feel about that whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, and I don't see it that it's wrong to do it as long as people expect it. You know what I mean? I think that's the big deal, is that, you know, if they expect the party's going to be open for, you know, 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it's going to be, if they expect it, it's not a problem. They're not going to perceive you negatively, versus if they would expect it to be, you know, a week later, then they're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with this consultant? So if they know about it, one thing. If they don't know about it, a whole nother thing.
Right. Agree.
So honestly, I can think of very few reasons why you would really want to leave a show open longer than need be. Other than, like, you know, like Becky said, I mean, if it's something that you've planned with your host, no big deal. If it's just generally that you're having trouble getting a hold of your host, or, you know, you find that she's dodging, or you find that, you know, the host didn't really collect a lot of outside orders before the party, so now she's trying to do it on the other end, then maybe you need to look at your host coaching process to decide whether that needs to be something you ramp up on the front side. I would just kind of tell you to evaluate your process. Again, I make these recommendations only because they work for me, and a lot of the other kind of, you know, upper level consultants in our company, that this is what they do. So when you see success, you want to, you know, do what successful people do, right? If it works for you, though, if you're not having problems with your own personal system, or, you know, you feel like you're not having an issue with customers, you know, it's taking too long for the orders to arrive to the customers, then, you know, don't change what's not broke. But, you know, always be open to those, you know, other ideas. So if there are any, those should be the exception rather than the rule. You know, any thing or any circumstances, you know, obviously you're always going to run into, you know, somebody got sick, or, you know, somebody passed away, there's a funeral, there's blah, blah, blah. So I would try to keep that, again, as the exception rather than the rule. And I think as long as you make it clear to both the host and the guest exactly when the show will close, and what to expect, I think with proper host coaching, you can close your shows quickly, and it's a win-win for your host, for your guests, and for you. So does anybody have any questions on any of that information?
I have a question about a show that was, again, this is a show that it was an individual order.
Okay.
That is still sitting there from June. Can it be converted to a June show?
Is it, okay, so how much is the order back?
Right now, $77.50.
Okay, so it can't be moved into a show, but it can be converted to just a individual order.
It already is an individual order, but I have somebody who may want to add on to that to make it a show value, but it can't be done that way.
So did they place the order online as a part of a show? Is that what happened?
No,
or is it
it's a Doug order. But now I have somebody who says, I want to order this and this, and I'd like to get that June discount for the 60% off anything in the catalog.
For June.
Wasn't that June?
I thought that was May. I think that was May's host special. Wasn't it? I'm confused now. Hold on. Let me look.
Oh, you're right.
That was May.
You're right.
I mean, they can have half price items. You know, that's still, what's the item that they're after for 60% off?
3 rectangular gray bakers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
And
she
I know
got
that.
half off that.
What?
She could still do half off that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as long as, I mean, so the order that you have for Doug, so it's basically a combination of like other people's small orders. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I would do is just, I would open a show up in, whoever's name that you're saying that wants to add on. The only problem is going to be that to get it to qualify, that person is going to you're going to have to put in either what she wants to help bring it up to $200 onto Doug's order, or you're going to have to create, put her in as a guest, and then she's going to have to pay shipping twice. So, I mean, if you're just planning on putting it under Doug's name to add, to make that order qualify the show, then there's really not no big deal about it. I mean, is the people that have all placed those small orders, do they know when you're processing that, or?
Yeah, it's Michelle and Holly.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Just a couple of people that say, hey, they like the water bottles and a couple of other things.
Yeah.
So it's not a whole lot. But then, on the other hand,
I mean, do you have any vendor shows that are coming up, Beck?
yes, I do.
Like this weekend?
I have 2 vendors. Well, I have one this weekend.
Okay.
That was I wasn't going to do, but I decided to do it. And that one in Gettysburg, and I can't find any information from that person. So I don't even know. I guess I could call the campground and ask if they know who's in charge of that.
I'll try to pull my email up and see if I can find what I sent you on that.
If you could, I'd appreciate it, because
Yeah.
I don't know where the heck it is.
Okay. Yeah, I'll pull it up after I'm done.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would maybe leave it open until this weekend, see if you have any outside orders, that you can use, to add on to that show too. And then I would probably, I would try to get it closed so that you're, green before the 15th, because you guys all want that incentive I'm offering this month.
Yes, especially because I don't have any income coming for the 8th.
Oh, no.
All my stuff was submitted
The beginning of the month.
beginning of June.
Well, you should have a little bit because you get overrides from Jody sales.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
it'll be a small amount, but
might be able to pay my vendor fee.
okay. But yeah, I would try to, get it closed, because like I said, you guys want the incentive. So make sure you're green before the 15th, girl. Because it's oh so cute. You have to have it. Trust me. You have to have it.
Okay. Okay, I'm done taking up time now.
So the last thing I wanted to tell you guys was, don't forget that if you live local here, I did post the schedule for the Shippensburg Fair the end of the month, and there are still some time slots open if you guys wanted to come participate. The thing that I'm doing this year that's going to be a little bit different is because I have a bigger space. I actually have twice the amount of space as what I've had in the past. So what that lets me do is have more than one person there at the booth. Ashley, I totally would love to come down and see you. But it lets me have more than one person at the booth at one time, which will generate excitement. We did that the very first year I did Ship Fair. I had the real big space, and then we kind of scaled down the next year because we didn't have, it was like we really didn't have enough time to set up a big space. So, and what I decided to do was anybody that comes, because I'm going to try to be there every day for a shift. So I'm looking for one other person to be there with me during those shifts. So you're only having to pay half the amount what you normally would, as far as what it would have costed, like if you would have done the space, let's say Monday night from 5 to 10 by yourself. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm using it as a teaching and training with you guys to actually kind of show you some, tips or ways to connect with people that come into the booth, things to talk about. but I'm also, the lead slips that we normally generate from the Shippensburg Fair, there's typically a lot of them. So I'm actually giving all of those lead slips to anybody that participates. So let's say, Becky, you did Monday night with me. I'm not taking any of the lead slips. Those are all going to be yours. Okay. Let's say Heather.
I do have a request.
What's that?
I know that there have been a couple people who said yes, they would do it on certain days. Would you have time to post a revised what's available?
Yep. I was actually going to do that.
I kind of stay out of it because we have a lot of new people, and although I want as much as anybody, I thought it would be fairer to give some of the newer girls a chance.
Aren't you
because
sweet?
I booked 2 today.
Yeah, but I'll post the revise.
I want the other girls to get that experience.
Absolutely. It's a great experience on vendor shows. I know that, you do invest a little bit of money into vendor shows. The Shippensburg Fair is one of them that's totally worth the investment. Over the last couple of years of me doing it, I've had multiple leads from the one event. So yeah, I know $25 for 5 hours of your time seems like a lot of money. But it's actually not in the long run. In the long run, you have to think long-term with vendor shows, not necessarily the short-term benefits, but the long-term benefits. The other thing that's, of course, going to be available to you is the fact that you can bring cash and carry, and we will have tons of space with this vendor show for you to be able to bring your cash and carry and actually help sell and get rid of some of it. So I will be setting up when the Sunday before, which again, the whole schedule's posted as far as when I'm going to set up, when I'm going to tear down. So I am going to, I'll need help with setting up too, if anybody wants to bring their products there to help sell. So yeah, I'll update that, Becky, and post a revised schedule. The only thing I do ask is that if you guys want space, you can either PayPal me or you can mail me a check for your space, because I've already forked out the $400 for the space. So I want to try to get, obviously my money back before the fair starts. But yeah, so if you have said on there that you wanted, at whatever date, then just make sure to private message me, and either I can give you my address to mail me a check, or I can give you my PayPal information so you can PayPal it to me.
Let me tag on to that. Should we provide our own separate tables for our cash and carry?
Nope. I'm going to have everything set up.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a main display on the back wall of products. Okay. And then basically, other than that main display of products, everything else will kind of be cash and carry. Okay. So the main display is going to be more of, again, just a kind of glamorized, display. And then there'll be plenty of room. Like I'll probably leave one table, depending how we work it with whoever's coming. But what we've done in the past is anybody that brings cash and carry, I will have you guys, put your own stickers on it. And either we can all do different stickers, or you can initial your stickers. And I don't have any problems with selling anybody else's cash and carry. And we keep track of it in a logbook, and then we kind of divvy out the money. And that's how we've done it for the last couple of years. And there's never been any issues with it. So that's probably what I'm going to do again with it. So as long as I have your cash and carry while I'm setting up, no problems. I can just go ahead and organize it and put it there. That way we don't have to fool with it the rest of the week. So even if, Beck, you can't come and set up with us, or if anybody else can't come and help with setup, no big deal. If you just want to bring your cash and carry stuff before, the ship fair starts, before I set up, and then I can I'll just add it, as part of it. Make sense? So like if I set up on Saturday, if you wanted to bring it to me, if you're not able to make it to help set up, then you could just bring it to me. Like we can meet up on like Friday or whatever. And then if yours is already priced and initialed or whatever, then I can just put it on the display for you. All right, Heather and Chris, do you guys have any questions?
No, we're good.
All righty. Heather, are you still planning to do one of the nights for Ship Fair?
Yeah, the 28th.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to post the revised thing here in a little while. So let's see. Ashley, do you have any questions at all?
No, I'm good.
Alrighty, girlfriend. I wish you lived closer so you could come do the fair with us too. That'd be fun.
Me too. But I like my distance from my family.
I don't blame you sometimes.
Yeah, I get that too.
Their drama.
Oh my. All right, Beck, do you have any more questions at all?
If I'm something's boiling in there, but I'll just message you later. It could be just infection.
That never happened. Okay. So I can't get my computer. Let me see if I can get it to come up. Yeah, it's still not working. Okay, so I'm going to post the team challenge right onto the team page as soon as we get off. So
You're not going to tell us first?
Oh, it's good. I'm talking about the next one.
Oh.
The next one. And as far as the drawing for homework goes, the only person I received homework from this week was Becky. So it looks like Becky's going to be our winner.
Yay!
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. How about that?
I had chicken for dinner.
Oh my gosh, you're so funny. And this week's prize is $10 of Pampered Chef dollars.
Ooh. Oh.
So that will be coming in the mail to you, my dear.
When do we collect these?
If you have do you have 3 months in a row?
Yes.
Okay. So what you want to do is bring them to me on the 18th at our team meeting. And then you can turn those in and I'll give you Pampered Chef dollars for them.
Okay.
Okay. So be on the lookout for our homework tonight. And again, it's really not a homework assignment, so to speak, but more of a team challenge. Okay. So I'm starting the team challenge and it's actually going to be a beach ball blitz, booking blitz. Okay. And this is kind of how it's going to work, but there's going to be a video explaining it and exactly what we're going to be doing. So I'm starting, here's my beach ball, and I'm throwing it to you guys and putting the challenge out there. Because if your calendar's not where it needs to be or where you want it to be, or you're looking to actually move up, a level in the company, then what you need to do is have your calendar in order as far as bookings go. The other thing that I want to just briefly mention is hopefully you guys seen that I'm going to be doing a director bound series starting, I think I had wrote in August. Okay. So in order to participate in the director bound series that me and some of the other upper level people are going to be doing for our teams starting in August, you need to submit at least 5 shows this month. Okay. And the reason we chose 5, and I know it sounds like a lot, but it's because you need to have the shows in order to find the recruits in order to actually promote to a director. Okay. So if your goal is leadership with the Pampered Chef and you're looking to promote to a director, then make sure you try to submit 5 shows this month. Okay. If directorship is something that you do want, and you don't really feel like July is your month to do 5 shows, or, you're having issues, then let me know that too. Like, I want to know who is hungry for the next steps, who is hungry to kind of step up and really grow with the company, grow with our team, and just make things happen. Because that's really, that's my challenge. My challenge is to do the same thing for myself. And in order for me to grow as a leader, I've got to help my team grow in their leadership skills. So that's kind of why I'm making some changes at our upcoming team meetings and those kinds of things. Because, this team is not about me. This team is about all of us together. So if you're looking for more money, then you need to promote. Okay. Plain and simple. That's the way to do it. More money, more shows equals more recruits equals more money equals promotion. Basically, that's how it kind of breaks down in this company. So if that's something you want to talk about one-on-one as far as promotions go, or possibly, making that a goal, maybe not, like I said, maybe you don't feel July is a good month for it, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily start in August with the Director Bound program, but you feel like within the next couple of months that might be something you want to try to take on, then I want to know that, okay? I want to know that so you're on my radar so that I can be kind of helping to one-on-one get you where you need to be successful with that. Alrighty. Well, our time is over. So be looking for that team booking blitz video because somebody is going to get tagged very shortly to throw the first ball in the booking blitz. Who's it going to be? I guess you'll see in a little while.
Bye, girls.
Bye, guys.